Hello and welcome to a pet pairing video. I feel like I've been doing this so irregularly lately that calling them the weekly pet pairing is probably a little bit inaccurate. I think the last pet pairing I did was the one with Martina, which was already 2 weeks ago. I'm going to start applying my makeup because I'm actually running a little bit late for work. I'm going to start with the Urban Decay Primer Potion, which by the way was very enjoyable. I absolutely love doing that video with Martina. And I'm still riding the high from that pet pairing with her because, you know, I think I've mentioned also a couple of times in the past that since some of my good friends don't really, like some of my good YouTube friends have stopped making content, I felt a little bit lonely on the tube since in terms of like making connections to other creators, because it's, you know, it's really difficult to find someone that shares your makeup taste, you're kind of on the same page in terms of life things, and you vibe as people. It's difficult to also like just get a feel of how someone is only through their videos. I really think that you need to have somewhat of like a personal or like private conversation with them to get a little bit of a feel of what kind of person they are. And I'm really glad that I have found Martina because yeah, it's been nice to find someone to connect to on the tubes. By the way, I just wanted to mention it in case you were wondering, I do have a little bit of the Auric Glowless underneath my eyes because I haven't really done my like hydrating skincare routine for a couple of days, and I do feel like my under eyes needed a little bit of extra help today. For my foundation, I think I'm going to keep it easy breezy. I'm going to take the MAC Studio Water Weight Foundation in the shade NC25. So basically, long story short, I really loved doing that pairing video. I think all of you really enjoyed it too. You know, one of the reasons that I connected to Martina was her Pat McGrath Labs content. So it really was only fitting that we ultimately get together to do a video starting off with Pat, and hopefully more in the future. Anywho, how have you been? I feel like I've been so inconsistent with my uploads that I've kind of like lost track of what everyone is up to, what's going on. I am looking forward to a couple of days of rest because this is actually my last working day this week. Tomorrow is Ascension Day, which is a national holiday in the Netherlands, and as a lot of people do, I will just take the Friday off and make it a nice long weekend. I might still have to go to the lab for like a few hours for some cell culture work, because when you gotta keep things alive at the lab, they don't really care when it's a national holiday, they just need to be kept alive. So sometimes we take days off. I really like this foundation. For a while there, it wasn't really looking great on my skin, but lately I've been enjoying it tremendously. Also, I don't know whether you can see, it is very minimal coverage. It is almost bordering on a little bit of a tint, but that's really what I like about it. It is just so lightweight. It never sits weirdly in my skin. It basically looks like my skin, but a little bit more evened out. Let's take the Chanel Sublime Concealer. Oh, speaking of Chanel, I need your opinion. For whatever bonkers reason, I am very attracted to those like trio blush bronzer highlighter things that Chanel has released for summer 2024. For the life of me, I can't tell you why, because I usually despise products that are mixed in like this, that you can't really like properly go in with your brush, but they seem big enough for you to be able to do that with your brush, and they've been getting really good reviews. Also, they haven't really popped up much on the like non-Chanel retailers, and I don't want to buy it over the Chanel website because that means I have to buy it full price, but I continue to have doubts whether I should purchase it. I think it's just exorbitant, unnecessary, and I really shouldn't spend my money on it. Please talk me out of it. I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder to set the foundation from MAC a little bit. Okay, let's talk TV shows. First and foremost, Hubs and I started watching Fallout, and may I start with, I've never in my life played Fallout. I don't know what the game is about. I'm not a game. I don't play video games at all. So unless it's Super Mario, which is basically the only game I'm somewhat familiar with, do not ask me for any other sort of context. I'm going to do my brows with the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax. Basically, in an ideal world, my husband would be a cave dweller who never leaves his cave to play video games. So he's very well familiar with like most of these shows that have been released based on games. Sadly, for whatever reason, he did not want to watch The Last of Us with me, even though The Last of Us was awesome. But he heard good reviews about Fallout, and I think he's played Fallout. Well, I think he's played The Last of Us a lot too. Anyway, he said that Fallout might be a good one, so we started watching Fallout, and I'm happy to report that I've really been enjoying it. It's a little bit gory, so I wouldn't recommend having your meal with it, but it is a really fun show. It has a fun premise, and I am enjoying the show so far. We've only watched 3 episodes, but it's a good show. I enjoy it. And a show that we recently finished that I absolutely loved, cannot recommend more, was Three Body Problem. Oh my gosh, that show, I loved everything about that show. So it is based on a book, and the book is also like fairly recent, I think from, I don't know, maybe like tops a decade ago. I could like go on Wikipedia it now to tell you when the first book was released, because it's a series of 3 books. Just like the show, will be several seasons based on those books. And Hubs had already read the first book within that series a couple of years ago, and he's been urging me to read it because, knowing my style and what I enjoy, he thought I might really like it. Let's do the Victoria Beckham bronzing brick in the shade 02 for bronzer today. He himself had already mentioned though that one of the things that he did not particularly enjoy about the book was the style of writing, that the style of writing was a little bit, I don't know, clumsy or like not very easy to get into, and that he personally actually quite enjoyed the translation of the book into a TV show, because the TV show actually told the story quite well, quite true to the book. My gosh, if you love sci-fi shows and you love a little bit of like science woven into your TV shows, especially hardcore like physics and astrophysics, then you are absolutely going to love Three Body Problem. I don't know that there is a way for me to talk a lot about the show without spoiling it too much, so I'm just going to say like go and watch it. It's only 8 episodes. For blush, I'm going to take the Armani Luminous Blush in the shade 10, which is the blush that I like to pair with this bronzer. Well, actually, I, for whatever reason, really enjoy the pairing of this specific bronzer with this specific blush, so I kind of like always go for the 2 in tandem. Although I will occasionally use the Victoria Beckham bronzer with other blushes, obviously, but I really enjoy the combination of these 2 products together. So the title of the show, Three Body Problem, from what I understand, is based on a concept in astrophysics, or it comes from astrophysics and like astronomy, but it can be translated to other areas of science. And it essentially boils down to, if you have 3 celestial objects which orbit each other and like influence each other's motion, there is no way to accurately predict how they're going to interact with each other. From what I understand, or maybe that's my interpretation, because I'm a biologist, I'm too stupid to understand physics, but you can probably do calculations to make predictions of how they're going to influence each other, but ultimately you're going to end up with various different outcomes of those calculations, so you can never accurately predict how exactly they're going to interact with each other. And this problem can be translated, I think, into, I don't know, maybe molecules interacting with each other, or even like neuronal cells which influence each other in all sorts of unpredictable ways. And it somehow ties in with chaos theory. But that's basically my extremely limited understanding of what Three Body Problem is about. So Three Body Problem, the title of the show, is actually based on a real like problem in physics. Let's use something from Pat to highlight, since after all this is a pet pairing video. I'm going to take my beloved Venusian Nude Highlighter. By the way, like going off a little tangent again, did I mention already that I purchased, oh no, I put it on Instagram. I did purchase a duo of 2 of the new cream blushes that she released. I ordered a duo of the 2 nude shades, the Alluring Nude and something with Divine Rose in it. And I'm very excited. It shipped very fast, and I'm hoping that it's somewhere on its way to almost be here, maybe even end of this week it will be here. I'm very excited to try this, because now that we've slowly been transitioning into somewhat warmer weather, I have actually gone back to using my like cream products a lot more than I have been in the past couple of months. And I think part of the reason I kind of stick with my cream products primarily in the summer is, first of all, that they give you this like fresh dewy look that for whatever reason just works better for me in the summer. But also because when it comes to my cream products, I don't really have anything that's like neutral and cool toned enough to support all the other makeup that I usually wear in the winter, which is a little bit more on the cooler side. I'm going to spritz my sponge with a little bit of the Airbrush Flawless setting spray from Charlotte Tilbury. Have any of you guys already watched Three Body Problem? What did you think about it? I thought it was really cool. I liked the acting. I really enjoyed that they had some new, fresh faces, relatively unknown actors in the show with some, you know, familiar faces. I loved the way they explained the science. I love how they staged everything. Alright, I have zoomed you in a little bit and we can get started on the eye look. I'm first going to go into the Subliminal palette. I'm going to grab Ultimate Taupe here because I want to keep the crease a little bit more neutral toned. So even statuesque I consider to be right now a little bit too warm for what I would like to achieve with this look. So, for those of you who have watched the show, were you able to possibly crack a little bit the mystery of what's going on? Like, okay, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but also I want to like really talk about this. I think for the first time ever, Hubs and I might have actually cracked down what the ultimate showdown of this series is going to be about towards the like final seasons. Between the two of us, I think we picked up on quite a few clues, and I think we have an idea how the show is, what the show is going towards. Obviously, if you've read the books, of course you know what's going to happen, and you don't have to confirm or deny my suspicions. But for those of you who have watched the show and you're like, Mariam, what are these clues that you're talking about? Without giving away too much, I'm going to keep it as vague as possible. I want to point your attention to, I think, 3 things. Before we get to that though, I'm just going to very quickly pop this like darker brown shade because I want to keep it a little bit more cool toned, but without really making the outer corner too dark. Because, believe it or not, today we're doing a liner. And not only are we doing a liner, we're going to mix an eyeshadow with Duraline to make a colored liquid liner, which is something I haven't done possibly in years. But the 3 clues that I was talking about. So, first clue is pay close attention to the very first thing that our Chinese scientist received as a message from our, you know, otherworldly friends. I'm trying here to be so vague about this so that people who haven't watched the show are not going to have the show spoiled for them, but also I want to give the clues to the people who have watched the show. Possibly this makes no sense to any of you, for which I apologize. So first clue, please pay attention to the very first, the absolute very first communication that occurred between our beloved Chinese scientist and our otherworldly friends. Okay, that was clue number 1, really important one. Then, a second very important clue. Before the infamous scene at the cemetery where a joke was told, right before that scene, again our beloved Chinese scientist was walking through her house and she was holding some books. And they deliberately, very deliberately showed the titles of the 2 books. They are very important, very important. Alright, going to take NYX glitter glue now so that we can apply the metallic shade over top of that. Just taking a little bit like this on the back of my hand and then going to pop that very quickly here onto my moving lid with tapping motions. Also taking it in my inner corner. Next I'm going to take the Vouyerstic Vixen quad, but I'm going to take the first version of this quad, not the re-release from last year that came in the red packaging, because in fact the 2 eyeshadows that are housed in here, which are called Twilight Bronze, this shade here, they're not exactly the same between the 2 quads. And today I'm going for a look where I require a little bit more of like a neutral taupey brown shade, whereas the one in the red version of this quad really isn't that much of a taupey shade. It has a little bit of a rosy gold tone to it. So I prefer this one for the look that we are going for today. But I love both. I use both a lot depending on the occasion. And I'm just applying this shade on a brush. And quite obviously, the last most important clue, or like a very important clue, is of course the joke. I think if you like watched the show and you of course immediately knew that the joke was some sort of a encoded message, you would struggle to interpret what she means by all of this and what kind of message she was giving away. Obviously it was important because, you know, the stakes were high, but if you put all these three different clues together, you might be able to make a little bit more sense out of it. And we can continue chatting in the comments if you want me to give you even more clues, because right now I'm trying to spare the people who have not watched the show at all from any other, you know, spoilers. Yeah, and let's talk about it in the comments, because I'm dying to know what you guys think about the show and whether you already have some sort of like interpretations on what's going to happen. Also, my sincere apologies, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit and I'm going to include a shade from Bobbi Brown. This is the shade Cosmic from the Luxe eyeshadow formula from Bobbi Brown. This is essentially a beautiful mint green shade in the VR formula. And since Motherpet refuses to give me an eyeshadow like this in her palettes, I'm going to have to resort to Bobbi Brown because I really need this eyeshadow to be in my inner corners today. It is ethereal, it is beautiful, it is popping. I'm just really sad that we're probably never going to get a version of this eyeshadow from Pat. But anyway, so essentially the idea is I want to use Blitz Emerald as my liner, and you could also just pop it on dry without any concern. It's going to look absolutely beautiful that way. But I want to sort of like liquefy it because if I apply it dry, unfortunately I have the issue that liners that I apply dry, like eyeshadow that I apply dry as a liner, transfers to my crease quite badly. And if I liquefy it using Duraline, it's basically going to be a liquid liner and hopefully it's not going to move, and hopefully I'm going to also preserve a little bit more of like that shiny duochromy metallic effect, which might get lost if I just apply it dry as a liner. So we are going to be concocting our own liquid liner today. Now I don't know whether you're familiar with this product, the Duraline. It is very inexpensive and it is just such a glorious product. You can use it to mix your eyeshadows to wet them, or you can mix this together with eyeshadows to liquefy them. You can use it to revive old makeup like dried out gel liners or eyebrow pomades. You can pop it in your mascara to revive it a little bit if it's drying out too much. Really, it is such a multitasker and such a nice product because it's very soft on the eyes. It never irritates my eyes. I've had other like mixing media like this and not all of them have been equally good. This one remains my favorite. So what I will do with this is I will just take a little bit here in the dropper, and you have two options. You can either scrape out a little bit of the eyeshadow that you want to use as a liquid liner, or you can immediately, whoopsie, this is going to be hard to demonstrate, or you can immediately pop it into your eyeshadow of interest. Alright, before I go on and drop something, I'm just going to explain it. So the idea is, if you are going to pop it in your eyeshadow directly, I recommend the strategy of applying Duraline somewhere on the edges of the eyeshadow, and remember where you have put it in your eyeshadow, because it is going to cause a little bit of change in the texture. So if you're going to use that technique and you apply it all over the pan of your eyeshadow, you risk changing the consistency of your eyeshadow across the whole pan. But if you just use it in like a specific corner, then it's really no concern, because like 90% of your eyeshadow will remain intact. So I'm just going to pop it on right here. I'm going to put 2 drops, just like here, towards the edge of the eyeshadow. And this is really hard because I'm holding it up for you to show you. Now I'm going to take a liner brush, and I like applying my liquid liner with a wing shape brush like this. And then I'm going to just mix in the eyeshadow onto the brush, and I'm going to start applying it, and it basically will apply as a liquid liner. And now let's all collectively hold our breath, because I don't do liquid liner a lot, so this is going to be tricky. And you can apply as needed a little bit more of Duraline. I would say go in increments, just apply as much as needed. You don't have to completely soak the pan. I'm quickly going to finish off the look by applying a little bit of a mix of this shade and this shade, so the two mattes that I have in my crease area on the lower lashes, and that will basically be it. I didn't film that part, but I just wanted to let you know that I did apply a little bit of Night Forest from Lisa Eldridge, so the pretty dark, you know, forest green in my lower lash line here to sort of like go with the theme. And I just really love how the look turned out. I also thought this would be an excellent opportunity to address again and wear in a look one of the new Gucci lipsticks that I picked up. So this is the shade Suzanne Sunset, which is in their matte formula. It is one of the new neutrals that have been released by Gucci for Spring-Summer 2024. In a scandalous turn of events, I actually think this is my favorite out of the 3 lipsticks that I picked up. So I just posted a video a few days ago of me demoing 3 of the new shades that they released, 2 of the satins and 1 of the mattes. And I honestly didn't expect that the matte, because it was the shade that I expected to like the least. And it is turning quickly into my favorite out of the 3, and that is a completely, you know, unexpected turn of events. I really love this lipstick. I love the texture, I love the tone, and I think it is just such a gorgeous, like, sort of like neutral to slightly cool, grungy brown lipstick. I hope that you guys enjoyed this look and the little dabbled into alchemy there, mixing our concoction of liquid liner. Honestly, this is a makeup strategy, like a makeup technique that I used to use a lot in the past, like 7, 8, 9 years ago. One of my favorite things to do, so much so that this is actually my second bottle of Duraline. I had one, I completely panned it, and this is my second one. And then I sort of like divorced the idea of liquid liner and just liner altogether, and this fairly new bottle is just sitting in my drawer. So it was really fun to revisit an old technique and use one of my favorite green eyeshadows as a liquid liner. Anywho, like I said, hope you enjoyed this look. Let me know in the comments. Let's chat about 3 Body Problem if you've watched the show and you would like to, you know, spar a little bit on theories of what's going to happen. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!